Hi, this is Blake Johnson from nTopology. Today I'm going to talk about modifying a spoiler design like you see on the screen, giving it some more uh, interesting features, including a little lattice that we're going to connect some faces with. And then we're going to export that to see what it looks like in kind of a simulated wind tunnel using ANSYS Discovery Live. So I bring in the CAD file first, as you see from this import part block, and the design is just a very simple CAD design taken from GrabCAD. And I've selected some faces and right-clicked to make them CAD face variables. So you see I've done that for the side faces on the inside here and the top and bottom of the spoiler region. So uh, this face and then the other side. And I wanted to end up with the final design of something that looks like this. I'm not going to go through every single step here. The files will be available below, but we have the first step is converting it to an implicit body, the entire spoiler. And then we have the removal of these fins on the side. And what I did for that was trim with planes, because we're working with implicits. We can do a Boolean intersect of planes with the implicit body of the real spoiler. So you can see I've used these faces on the edge as kind of identifiers of where those planes should be using their properties. So side R bounding box centroid is something I can pull in here. And then if I orient those planes correctly, I can trim off that part of the body with a Boolean intersect. So the next step is a similar process to just get the legs. I use a plane to trim there using properties of the CAD faces as placers or placement tools to get the location of those planes. And you can play around with the file if you're interested in seeing that. Um, so then I select those CAD faces, the top and bottom, and I thicken them. So I gave them a thickness of 0.5 millimeters. And the most interesting part is the lattice here. So I did that with our conformal lattice between CAD faces block. And the top and bottom were reparameterized, which just means we're assigning vectors that define the um, directions of these CAD faces. So that's what these red and green lines mean. And the top and bottom have these vectors. They line up, so I can put a lattice in between them and it will be nice and conformal without too much clicking around to get that working. So this really nice conformal lattice is created quite easily. I've decided to put 5 unit cells along the length and 2 along the width and 1 in Z in between them, or rather W in the distance between them. So that's specified in this UVW input. And once the conformal lattices are generated, I thicken the body. So that's given a thickness of 1/4 millimeter. And all of the scale here obviously may not, it's not relevant to an actual car. So this is all, dummy geometries. It's just for the creation of an example file. So you could always scale these up, or you work with more realistic distances and distance values from the beginning. But we end up with a final body that looks like this. So I take the legs, the top face, bottom face, and the lattice, and I union it all together. We can turn up the resolution a little bit to get a better view of that. And while that's loading, I'll just say I do some meshing of these bodies to create a nice surface mesh that captures everything. So I use mesh from implicit body and then remesh the surface. And finally, I export that mesh to a file, which is how we'll get into the ANSYS Discovery Live. And I've added a new trick that I like to do with the filter block, which was recently added, where I basically am exporting a list of meshes, but it's a list of one and it either includes the mesh or doesn't. And so I have this checkbox that I've made a variable. You see it says export file. And now at the top I can click or not click this so that when I update my design, I can choose to either export it, and it will if I have it checked, or not export the file, and it won't. And so the file is going to this folder where I have the spoiler.obj. That's a mesh file format. In this case, I do not have it checked, so any changes I make will not save to the new file or overwrite the file I already created. If I wanted to, I would just check this, and now the file is going to export and overwrite the previous file. So we've gone through our design, and now we're going to see what it looks like after it's been brought into Discovery Live. Discovery Live is a very, very convenient and quick tool for looking at CFD results. It's GPU based, and all you have to do is bring in a surface mesh, and you can see how quickly, or you will see in a second, how quickly we can see what the flow patterns of something flowing through this design might look like. So I have a brand new instance of Discovery Live open, and I'm just going to click File, Open. And just to speed the computer up, actually, I'll exit out of this, and we'll recreate it in a second. So now I've clicked File, Open, and I'm going to select OBJs, and we can just get the file for the spoiler. And I'm just going to go in and select Create Solution and choose Fluid Behavior, and it will create an external volume around this object, and we'll just choose Air. And now I'm just going to select the direction of the flow. So it'll look like that. Oops. And let's make sure that's selected. Great. And here we have our solution already being generated. So we can look at the direction of the flow, and I'll actually change the speed there to, let's say, 10 meters per second. And you can see how it's behaving around these legs. But if you want to probe a little bit further, you can click this button here, and it will give you this circle of airflow diagrams. And I won't get into a full-fledged tutorial of CFD or Discovery Live, but the point is it was very easy to bring this in and start getting results based on fluid flow around this kind of design. And you can see, let me turn off the other view. Sorry about that. Yeah, so now we've recreated what we had before. We can adjust some parameters here. We can move this around and see how this airflow is behaving around our design. And the cool thing is that is a really quick process to populate that. So if I actually just go back in here and make sure my export file is on, I can pick another, I can pick another type of lattice. And we just go to low res here. We'll have a brand new design that we then export, and we can check how it looks in ANSYS just by reopening this file. So that pretty much wraps it up. I hope this gave a cool demo of something we can look really quickly at a scenario of going from CAD to adjustments to your CAD design or modifications and improvement to exporting to Discovery Live and seeing how it behaves. And ideally, you learn something from this and you say, okay, this needs to be a little thinner, or maybe we can get rid of some drag somewhere else along this design and go back into nTop and change your design, re-export, open it back into Discovery Live, and continue that process to an optimization point. So um, I hope this helps. If you have any questions, you can always email me at blakejohnson@ntopology.com. And again, these files are available below. So I hope you check them out, and I hope you um, uh, can explore this path for a lot of interesting stuff. So thanks for watching, and good luck. Bye.